let's welcome in a special guest, junior predictive analyst here at Action Network, Billy Ward. Billy, it's been a while. Good to see you again. So you recently wrote about how to pick NRFYs, aka no run first innings, and vice versa. Can you just summarize your model for us?
Yeah, this was a big, football offseason project for me. And I went down a lot of different directions trying to figure out the way that we could project these. But what I ultimately settled at is we know about how many runs are going to be scored in a game, right? We have the game total, we have the team totals that markets give us. So all we need to do from there is figure out when those runs are most likely to be scored. And I went through a ton of different stuff. Is it going to be warmer in the first inning than the ninth? But it ultimately didn't have to end up being that complicated. All I'm using now is the pitchers splits their first time through the order, since obviously the first inning will be their first time through the order. Most pitchers do a little bit better the first time through, but not all, and there's a lot of variability within that. So some pitchers are lights out the first time through, then kind of gradually slow down. Some pitchers it's a lot closer. So then I can use that, and then what percentage of the runs the top three hitters from each team scores. Obviously, the top three hitters have to come up in the first inning, and for there to be a first inning run, one of those three has to come across the plate. So again, that's something that varies pretty heavily by teams. You get a team like the Angels with Trout and Ohtani, their top three hitters produce most of their scoring, where some teams are more balanced through and through. So then we multiply that out with the total runs we think we're going to get, and that gives me a percentage chance of a run in the first inning or not.
All right, I got you. So now that we kind of have an understanding of how to do this, we're going to ask you for your picks tonight, or for Friday's slate, I should say. But I am curious, like what you just described, do you go through every single game and just see like what stands out?
So prior to the season, I built a database of every pitcher's splits their first time through the order versus overall. And then I did the same thing with hitters. And just as we've gone through the year, I've updated that to include 2023 data. That's a little bit of a challenge with pitchers. One or two starts doesn't tell us much. But with the hitters, I just have a database of each team's splits. So then it's pretty automated from there. I just need to put in who's starting pitching, what the matchups are, and then what the game lines are. And it kind of figures out from there mean runs that we can expect.
Sounds like you would be a good follow on the Action app with with all that going on. But who you got for today?
Yeah, so the first one I'm looking at is the Astros White Sox yes at minus 110 at BetMGM. This is a really good example of what I was talking about. The White Sox starter is Michael Kopech. He's actually worse his first time through the order using 2022 and 2023 stats rolled together, which isn't common, but it's not unheard of that sometimes pitchers just do better once they get settled in a little bit. Obviously, being worse early in the game makes it more likely that there's a first inning run. And that works out nicely because Houston's top three accounts for 48% of their scoring. That's the second best in the league. If it was evenly distributed, it would be 33%. So they're significantly more likely to score when their first three hitters are up. That's the Houston side of it. And then on Chicago, they have a 4.22 run implied total, which isn't huge, but that, if they were evenly split between all nine innings, that would be about a 50% chance of one of those runs happening in the first. So they definitely help on that side, but it's really just the combination of the Astros hitters and the White Sox pitcher means runs should be front loaded in this one.
Okay, so we have a YRFI. What about a NRFY for today?
Yeah, on the other side of the coin, we have the Mariners versus Tigers, minus 115, similar line. And this is kind of the reverse of what I was talking about. Matthew Boyd is starting for the Tigers. He's been pretty bad this year, but he's been considerably better the first time through the order. Normally, he gets hit around real bad the second or third trip through, and we just need him to get through three outs. Both teams are also facing lefty pitchers. They're both on that's the worst side of the platoon splits for both teams, especially when you just look at their top three hitters. So if these teams were facing righties, this would change the projections pretty significantly because I have different databases for left versus right-handed pitching. But these are two really good NRFY teams against lefties. And then I'd make this one about minus 140 on the fair value. So we've got a pretty good bit of wiggle room with most of the danger being on the Mariners side against Boyd.
Well, I know that's not all. You have even more picks. So I would encourage anyone who's watching to check out Billy Ward's breakdown that he wrote for Action Network. Billy, thanks for joining the show. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And like Maria pointed out, we've got 5 picks today. Every day, Monday through Friday, we have a NRFY article.
Fantastic.